All right, and welcome to the OK Roundtable. We're going to talk about how gay marriage and Muslims are the reason zombies exist.
That is true.
I guess that is a concern.
If there was a thesis in the movie, that was it.
Kinda. Kinda.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Dawn of the Dead, 2004, directed by Zack Snyder. Praise be unto him and his verse. And the remake of Dawn of the Dead, uh, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which had like commentary on consumerism.
Consumerism.
You know, you're zombies. You go to the mall. Blah.
Uh, Worth mentioning too, written by James Gunn.
You can see where the outline would be a James Gunn like thing, and then you can see where the Zack Snyder was like, let's punch that shit up.
Yeah, you really can. It was really fun to watch it. Elle and I just got done watching it actually, so we're sitting there and we're like, "You think that's a Gunn thing or a Snyder thing?" Well, I think the concept is a Gunn thing, but I think the presentation really is Snyder.
There's a lens. There's 100% lens. Okay,
I have a particular scene in mind to mention that.
okay. So, uh, Mort and I have both just watched this film in preparation for this. Fought has not, and
Yeah,
that might be the way we do it. That might be the way we do it. Where
I,
two of us watch a thing, and then one person gets to ask
Take a break
questions.
that week.
I did not do my homework.
The homework was not done, but I think it might work out though, because I have my notes that I took while watching this film, and wow, there were some choices made.
Is it like a product of its age?
Yes.
Is it though?
Yes. Certain
I guess a
elements
product
very
of
much
its
are.
time.
Okay,
Certain elements very much are.
Early 2000s, right?
2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like again, a year after the Iraq War invasion. Like
Right.
that's the
Okay.
way that you kind of have to look into it because of that one moment in the opening scene. So
Right.
let's since you haven't seen it, I'm gonna give you a brief rundown of just a pure overview. Right there's a cold open that like starts off in the hospital, nurse getting off the shift, a small fake out, and then like she goes home, like shit pops off, and then like she ends up running away, crashes her car, and then like opening credits start. And so in the very first moment of opening credits is Muslim prayer. Like that's like the first fucking image like as credits start is that.
Completely out of context. It's not like it shows other groups of people.
Yeah.
It doesn't like show like a group of French people or anything else. Like
No.
it's just Muslims praying in
Muslims pray.
mass.
And
It's
then
like, oh, surely this visual alone will be enough to, get people scared. So we'll just leave it as is.
it goes into like showing footage of the
Okay, it's
military.
2004.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's like you have footage of the military, and then like news of them talking about the virus, and then there's footage of riots, and like, but again, for some reason, there was that moment where it showed the most. Okay, anyway, so then the movie starts proper, and then like you meet a few people, they all go to the mall, and then like things happen over the course of the movie. But like that's the way that movie starts. Okay.
In the first like act of the movie, I think is kind of brilliant as its own standalone piece.
Okay. Go.
I just think it's really good storytelling. Like it's good visual storytelling. Knowing that the audience is genre savvy, as you mentioned before, there's fake outs. She starts off in a hospital, and you hear about somebody coming in a bar fight, but then ending up in the ICU, and you're like, oh, that's a zombie. And then she goes home. Like, okay, well, she's fine. And as she's going home, you see like somebody kind of laid out in the back of an ambulance, and you're like, oh god. Are they a zombie? And no, they just pop up and get in the car and drive off. Like it keeps baiting you, knowing that it's a zombie movie that's going to pop off at any moment. It keeps giving you little hints towards it, and then going, no, we're not going to do that. I really like.
I think that that's you can say that's brilliant. I think that like to me, I think it's bordering on, like, you can see that's a James Gunn thing, where it was, let me wink at the audience without like full on looking at the camera and saying like, ha, you thought it was a zombie, like, right. And it would be fine if the rest of the movie had that same like tone with it, right. But you can feel Snyder's hand is just heavy. That is heavy hand on the director's chair.
Yeah. It does feel very much like James Gunn's brand of horror comedy, though, where it's really poking at you.
Yeah, it's there. Like, it's
there.
It's
coming.
So,
because just to give you reference, Fought, this is the least genre-savvy group of people you'll ever see. They do not know that they are in a zombie movie. They do not know what a zombie is. Zombies do not exist in the canon of this world. Okay. So when a zombie just pops up and starts eating people, they don't go, oh, shoot it in the head, don't let it bite you. They act as though they have never interacted with this concept at all.
So the like, let's go over the cold open, right? So it starts off with someone had a hand bite. So they talk about someone having a bite already. So you're like, oh shit, someone got bit. There's the EMT fake out, and then like she goes home, and then there's like a slight American Idol reference because gotta date yourself. They don't say it. They just say, oh, that guy got voted off. Oh man, he was so good. Oh my god. So I mean, you can tell like, they're just like you. Like they're just like you, consumer.
He's got a work truck, a white work truck. So you're like, okay, he works, and she's a nurse, and she's just put out, man. Like, you can tell from all the little dialogue, like she's been working too long, she's been there too long, and her shift is ended a long time ago, and she hasn't been able to go home.
She just
like we're getting very much the overworked every man, every woman concept.
And
here.
She's like, oh, I just swapped shifts so I can have a 3-day weekend at the end of the month. Like, relatable. Like,
yeah,
these people are.
Elle's bringing up a good point that really bothered me in the movie. She gets home from her, like,
12-hour shift, 12,
24-hour shift. Who fucking knows? And he's sitting there, like, lying on the bed, drinking a beer, like, just watching TV or whatever. And she takes his shoes off before crawling in bed.
Which again,
I hope to God what they were going for was there's, a no shoes on the bed rule, and she's taking them off because he's a dummy and didn't remember. And that's terrible, but better than she comes home to serve him. Not by much.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that, like, I know a number of nurses. I don't know many nurses who go home and immediately hop into the bed at all.
No.
It's I'm covered in other people's
blood and spit,
bodily fluids.
But do you know why they can't have her go home and immediately shower?
Because the shower sex scene is after
because
this.
They have the shower sex scene. It throws off the whole balance of the montage.
So again, before the credits start, like you hear the hand bite. There's the fake out with the EMT, the American Idol reference. She takes off his shoes, gets in the bed. They start making out, and then they're fucking in the shower. And it's like, wow, how gratuitously quick that you need to throw it in there. And then they're laying in bed, right? And their daughter shows up in the doorway.
Not their daughter. It's they don't have a kid. It's the next door neighbor that shows up. As best I understand it.
Okay.
Weird, but
okay.
Yeah,
so a
I'm
little
pretty
girl.
sure
There's a little girl. Okay, girl
Yeah.
neighbor child shows up in the doorway in shadow, and they're like, "What's wrong? What you doing here?" And then the husband goes to like check on the kid. The kid then steps into the light, is missing like part of their lower lip, and then goes rah and like bites the husband in the neck. It's a zombie.
And again, just to clarify, she is very clearly, visibly like messed up, And he gets up out of bed and rushes over to her, grabs her, and gets down in her face and is like, "Are you okay?
And then
What's going on?" And then turns his head around like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything? Like, honey, could you call 911?" Like, begging for it. This person does not know he is in a zombie movie at all.
And here is the one thing where, because again, movies have rules. Like when you have a suspension of disbelief, you have a set of rules that you got to follow. That you can set up. You set up your own rules. These zombies can run fast. These aren't the same slow moving zombies. So like, okay, you have that. But then there's also things like, yeah, so zombies can run. Boom, up there.
We'll come back to that.
Then there's the speed, and this establishes the speed. So the little zombie girl bites the dude in the neck, and then he's like, ah, and then like they throw the girl like down the hall, close the door, and then he's like bleeding, blah, and then she's like trying to like stop the bleeding. She's like, ah. And then not even 5 minutes. It's clearly within like a minute to 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, she doesn't even have time to like have a full conversation on the phone with the 911 operator.
And then he's turned, and then he attacks her, and then she ends up in the bathroom, and it's like, oh fuck. And then
quick.
And then she has no idea how to unlock the window. She's just going, she's just pawing at it, even though there's a lock right there, clearly in frame. And she's and then it got quiet again, and she calls out her husband's name. She's like, "Dearie, are you okay?" And then like he headbutts his way through the door.
Here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny. And she's like, ah! And then she realizes, oh yeah, I gotta unlock it. She gets out. That's when she gets in her car and drives off. And then it's just kind of like, small little montages of her like seeing the neighborhood, and the world has already gone to shit. There's explosions, there's fire.
We got to go back for one thing.
I think I remember seeing that.
I'm sure you did, but we got to go back a little bit because despite her making some very genre dumb moves, she does grab the keys. She looks at the nightstand, realizes her keys are there, and goes back to grab them quickly before diving headfirst into the bathtub. Which is not the smartest thing to do, but grabbing your keys is super smart. And that's actually a setup for a later payoff. It's not just character establishing that she's, savvy. But
she knows also, keys.
She knows to remember the things you need before you bail out of a situation. That's not the best, or it's not the worst thing to have in that situation. Like, it's not the easiest thing to explain as a talent, but like knowing, oh god, I need to grab my keys before I run out the door as my husband has just popped up as a zombie, like that's character establishing in my mind. And again, it's set up for a later payoff too.
It tells you, okay, she knows that she needs to take something with her,
right? And then at the end of the second act, as the third act's kind of winding up, I guess, really, like she has to go back for keys later because they're heading towards a MacGuffin, and the MacGuffin requires keys, and the only person who has the keys dies as a zombie. So again,
we'll get to that fucking moment, okay?
I know. I'm just saying
that fucking moment was just like what the fuck. So okay, so whatever. She leaves, and then like she's like slowly driving around. People are fucking running around, being bitten and attacked, and she's just like cruising down the neighborhood. And then, like, she stopped, and then once again, she stops in the middle of the fucking road because there's a naked lady in front of her, and I'm like, oh, cool, right. more nudity.
If we drive past, we don't get to see that.
And then, again...
And here's the thing, she is not, like, hurt, as best I can tell. Like, I didn't rewind to check it, but, like, I couldn't tell if she was a zombie or just a person walking around naked.
She looked like she was just a person walking around naked.
Right, and like, okay, sure. Let's not bother to set that up at all. Yeah, just kind of like... shambling around, like bloodied, but not like covered because you have to see her tits. I mean, come on.
You don't have to.
Yes, you do.
No.
It's a requirement. You have to have at least 3 separate pairs of breasts in any Zack Snyder movie. It's just a rule.
That's been my problem there the entire time. I'm just like, fuck. Okay, so anyway. Hold
on. One other thing about the opening. I really like the shot of her driving the car when she first peels out. Like it's obviously like a rig setup because we're seeing directly on like head on her in the car, and you see like her husband run out the door and then start like just hauling ass behind her, like it could be laser focused. And then somebody walks out of their house unknowingly
In their
not
robe,
aware
in
of
their
what's going on,
bathrobe.
and he just turns and goes straight for him. I mean, again, really good visual storytelling. You very much understand these zombies don't remember who these people are. I don't care who it is. Like they're just hungry. They're just going to go for the easiest meal near them, which is not something we necessarily need in a 2004 zombie movie. But you know, again, establishing its own kind of canon, I guess it's helpful. It's helpful.
So she gets kind of like attacked in the car because she stopped for the naked lady, and then so she speeds off and crashes, and that's when the credits start, and it starts with that weird insert of Muslims praying, and it's
As Johnny Cash sings,
as a Johnny Cash acoustic song plays over the
and not a
credits.
particularly like well known one outside of like people who know Johnny Cash. It's when the man comes around. It's not Ring of Fire or something. Like it's not any of the more common ones that you see used in film. It's a little out there. Wow.
So we exit the credits, and immediately she like gets out of the car and is met by Ving Rhames with a shotgun.
Ving Rhames.
And
I love Ving Rhames.
He's like, say something. She's like, what? And he's like, okay, cool. Like
She actually says please, which I thought was kind of odd. It's a very odd like moment. All she says is please, as though to say, please don't kill me. And he does. Like again, he is the most genre savvy person, as best I can tell, at least in the first like half of the movie.
So okay, so like they. Oh, you know what? There's something I missed. There is something I missed. I have it here in my notes. So as she's running to her car, she leaves the bathroom. She's running to her car, and there's a neighbor across the street who was unsure of whether or not this woman was a zombie. He has a gun out and is pointed at her, and like again, he is across the street and is saying, "Get back, get back." She's not making any movements toward him. He's moving towards her, and he's saying, "Get back, get back." And then he gets fucking rammed by an ambulance and just fucking splattered on the road. I was like,
good.
It was the dumbest thing ever. I remember that
because of that and one other trope in movies. Lauren freaks out anytime like you have a certain angle on people where they're near a street. Like because it's a common way to set up that shot. Like you kind of do really tight. You do a tight shot first, and then you kind of pull back just a little bit so you can see that there's something else about to be framed. Like it's an odd framing for one person, and that's when the
ambulance
shows
school
up. Bus, the ambulance, the truck, whatever. Yeah, that's when that happens.
And when the silent vehicle that you clearly didn't hear fucking off frame because it was off frame, so it's quiet.
Right. And then the other one that messes her up is the when it's sitting on the far side of a car and looking at both the passenger and the driver, and then you can see out the driver's side window, and then the car is like coming in at the last second. You just kind of cut away the smash cut.
The side,
like,
yeah.
Anytime we're watching a movie, there's two people in that frame, whether that's being set up for that or not. Lauren just starts grabbing my arm, like, oh my god, is this gonna happen? I'm like, no, baby, not every. This is rated G. It's fine. We're not gonna see that here.
Although. So anyway, so we meet Ving Rhames, and then they exit the tunnel and meet three more people, and it is I don't know what to call. His name's Michael, but you meet Michael, white loser hero, I guess you could say.
I really don't know how to define him either.
You have Russian pregnant lady and her significant other, gangster black guy.
Yeah, a little hint at maybe thuggish, but like.
So you have gangsta. Well, you had to have, and this comes up later. You have to have two male black characters, and here's why: because you need one to be upstanding, which is Ving Rhames being a cop, and then one being a thug, so you can then criticize the other one, but only through the voice of the good guy, so it doesn't seem racist.
Right. I was gonna say two, it doesn't hurt that allows you to have an opening gunfire battle between two black people. Like upon immediately seeing Ving Rhames, the other guy just starts shooting. Like, I haven't seen a zombie walk around with a shotgun yet, but he just starts shooting at him. And as they shoot back, they don't stop to realize, oh, maybe they're humans since they can shoot. Like, they're just ready to fucking kill each other.
Well,
like,
yeah.
okay.
So the other guy fires a shot, and they're like, "Wait, hold up! He's a cop. What are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And then they're like, then they all just travel together, and then they go to the mall. So they go to the mall, right?
Let's go to the
Because
mall.
you need to, and then like they have to fight some things on right beforehand. So you need a small bit of action because they knew they're gonna be talking quite a bit. So you throw in a little bit of action to kill some zombies, and like, fuck, man, crazy. Let's go to the mall. And,
Well, and again, the reason why they go to the mall is because Ving Rhames and Nurse Lady are going to one location, and they are coming from that location where everybody's dead. So the three we're introduced to were part of a group of 8, so they have encountered severe losses very quickly. And like the only survivors are like a pregnant woman and like random white dude. I forgot where I was going with that. They don't have anywhere else to go. Like the entire plot of what they were doing in the first little bit there is gone. They don't have anywhere to go now. So now they just go, we have to find somewhere to be that's not already destroyed.
So they go to the mall, which is surprisingly empty.
It's surprisingly
Like
empty.
it's surprisingly empty. Because like even for malls that are like, you know, it's in the morning. Because again, this is morning. This is daylight.
Well, okay, so to we'll go back to the beginning. There's a special news report that happens that night, but they don't catch it. The nurse Anna and her or whatever don't catch it because they're in the shower fucking. So it could have happened already overnight, and it's just whoever happened to be there that's left.
Again, it's just one of those things where it's surprisingly empty, and so then there's like another small little fight, little exchange with a zombie, and Ving Rhames is like fighting. He hits his arm against the metal thing and cuts his arm open, and so Anna, our white nurse protagonist, picks up the shotgun and then uses it, and there's like no kickback. She's holding it like this, like not even on the shoulder, like from the fucking hip, just boom, no recoil at all. And I'm like, that's a weird
no
choice.
Spread. No spread. Did not hit Ving Rhames, but hits the zombie that is on top of him.
From point blank, there's really no spread. Like from
it didn't seem like point blank to me.
The distance is basically that's considered point blank. Like from 5 meters out with a shotgun, you're not getting much spread at all. You're 5 meters out. It
depends on what shot you have.
Even so, you're 5 meters out. Like you're not getting the spread.
I don't know that I'm taking that risk. I guess with somebody I don't know.
Again,
fuck it, you're gonna die either way.
Right? Like, take the shot. No kickback.
But it does specifically hone in on him cutting his arm on the fountain, and not because he was bit or whatever. Again, it's part of the kind of consistent storytelling throughout. It's trying to get you to understand, like, it's not just any cut. It's not just dying. It's specifically interaction with these zombies.
Hit by metal. No, my whole thing is. Oh, go on. What you got?
I was gonna say, like, is it gonna become one of those things where it's like, oh, he got bit, and it's like, no, it's not a bite, it's a scratch.
Oh, it's so much worse. It's so much worse than that.
Okay.
No, not with Ving Rhames. So they decide, fuck, we gotta go upstairs. So they head to the elevators, go upstairs, and when the elevator opens, they're met with 3 aggro dipshit white security guards, who are, for some reason, the small security have fucking magnums. Like, they have 6-shooters.
Were they assigned that, or do they just have that?
Again, either way.
I just kind of interpreted it as that's their personal carry. I mean, it just.
But why do they have that there at the mall? They're there in their security uniforms, but they're there in their security uniforms, which means that they would have to be allowed to have those kinds of weapons in uniform.
So So
Yeah,
just to guess at it, I mean, in theory, they could have heard that things had all gone to shit overnight and gone to the mall, knowing they had access and others don't.
Again, that timeline doesn't.
They have
That
keys, they have codes, whatever.
the timeline is weird in terms of like
it,
when things could have been known.
Again, but like they're asleep in bed, like early morning. Because it's like I think it actually says like 6:37 or something like
It was like
that.
6:37 in the morning. Yeah.
And that's when the neighbor girl comes in. So like this has had time to matriculate from city to suburbs, like going house to house to house. I don't have an issue with the time frame being it could have happened the previous day and started to spread from there. It's only just now hitting this particular city. That's not necessarily inconsistent.
But then why are you wearing security guard uniforms?
What else would they wear?
They're in a mall that has clothing stores.
That's true, but they also seem to believe that messing up the mall is a bad thing. Like they actually specifically get upset at the people that came in for
Right, you
throwing
fucked
a
up.
toilet through the
Yeah,
window.
yeah. But again,
So I mean, I guess in some thought they're still like thinking, okay, well, when things go back to normal, I don't want to get in trouble for just fucking around here. And they obviously realize over time that things aren't going back to normal. It's never going to happen.
but they already had that. They already had that mindset. At least the main leader of the aggro dipshits.
He's an interesting character to me. Played by Ty Burrell.
No,
Interestingly enough,
that's not who we're talking about.
is it not?
The head security guy is not Ty Burrell.
Was it?
Ty Burrell's Steve. He shows up in the truck.
Oh, you're right. I got my mind mixed up.
You got
Well,
your white
anyway,
boys mixed up.
I did. I'll go like. But yeah, he's interesting to me because he very much, yeah, as El puts it, they act like security guards. They do. They're the worst three in there, but the one is at least interesting to me in how he does things. Like he makes very selfish decisions, but he doesn't seem necessarily to be a complete asshole. Just very self-focused. They play him like he's going to be the redneck bigot type, but he's not actually. He just really wants
I think
to live.
that
He doesn't care if that means killing other people.
I think that's the part that gets to me because that's definitely a Snyder. Let's make this guy seem sympathetic at the end, but let's have him be the complete and total asshole, but he's right in the end, like kind of thing. And it's like
I didn't catch that as much. They make him out to be an asshole and very selfish, so they can have him do kind of an about face later that kind of shows the character development.
listen, he calls Ving Rhames Shaq in the elevator standoff. He calls the bigger of the black dudes like Shaq.
Okay, and the other security guard calls somebody the.
Okay,
F-word,
that's
which
again. This
not
is
gonna throw out.
we're not
2004.
this is we're talking about this
product of
scene.
its time.
We're talking about this scene. Don't jump ahead. We're talking about right here. He calls them Shaq and then takes their guns.
Yes.
And then like it was just really weird. And so they imprisoned them for some reason.
Yeah,
like-
they locked him in one of the mall storefronts with the gate just put down.
Then they're watching the news to then get told to shoot him in the head by I believe Tom Savini. I believe
Yes.
that is a Tom Savini cameo as the sheriff saying like shoot him in the head and then burn the bodies.
Yes.
Which is cool. But again, then male alpha dickhead is like, see, America always sorts its shit out. Like again, that's
2004.
exactly. So this sheriff is killing these zombies and like burning the bodies and telling the news about it. And America always sorts its shit out. And then we find out the name of these zombies, or what they sort of call them. They're called them Twitchers.
At least the ones that are twitching. Like one specifically was twitching, and he called it. The guy, like as he's doing a live camera interview, like turns around and goes,
Shoot that one in the head.
"Hey, we got one right there. He's a twitcher." Going like showing their callousness and blasé attitude towards these people that are dead now.
So then Michael is like, implanting ideas in Alpha Man's head. Is like we should leave SOS signals and let people know that
Yeah,
we're alive.
he does it very very like I'm going to kneel to you and lets you kind of take the credit for this. He goes, I'm sure you've already thought of doing this, and as he kind of like tells him like, oh yeah, there's there's a hardware store, we can go do that. He goes, oh yeah, that's a great plan. You're so smart and brave. Yeah, he just I don't know, man. It's gross.
But then,
uh,
then they go to the roof. They're out the SOS and they're dumping bodies, and the signs are like "Help! Alive inside," and there's people like walking their way slowly towards the mall, and they're like, "Why are they doing that?" And then this is the one thing that carries over from the original. It's like maybe it's memories of them, like remembering coming to the mall and blah blah blah.
right. In
And
the original, they actually kind of like shuffle around the mall and do like a rudimentary version of shopping and whatnot. Like,
oh yeah, they were
it,
actually like picking stuff out and actually
yeah,
shopping.
they were trying to do the things they were used to as best they could with some
Mhm.
limited memory. Um,
The
but this is a
zombies.
very different. Yes, yes.
Okay.
And
Uh,
That's
then
kind of
and then
scary.
then when they're outside though, there's like an amazing shot of a CG helicopter just like and it looks like shit. Like even for 2004 standards, it looks terrible.
well,
Like
in
it's just
if and
like
maybe I'm misremembering, but as best I recall, this is the order it goes. We see the TV interviews, and we see at one point a military base where Ving Rhames' brother is, and where he's trying to get to.
hmm
And we see them loading refugees, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're good here. Oh, get the supplies over there." Soldiers running around the background. But before it cuts away, it zooms in on this one woman who is just destroyed on the side of her face,
I think
and
this is
kind of
part of the unrated version, not what I saw.
maybe so,
Yeah.
and kind of like glassed over on the other. Like she looks like she is seconds away from being zombie. And then a few minutes later, the helicopter's flying away, and rather than looking at them or seeing what's up, it just hauls ass away. And what I make up from that is that's them running the fuck away from the base, which is now fallen to the zombie. That's probably director's cut though.
That's it's definitely unrated. That's not. I didn't see that.
I
Um,
had to see the true artistic vision of Zack Snyder's director's cut in its original 2.35 to 1 ratio, and it was beautiful.
it was the
Those
best
were.
restore of the Snyderverse. So immediately after that, the guard's being a complete dick and like locks everyone up for the night. And then he's watching TV, and the emergency broadcast system is taking over most of the news channels, right? But for some reason, televangelists are still a thing. So this guy's watching a televangelist who's like, it's same-sex marriage, and like when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. It's like hell's overflowing, and like it's the fault of same-sex marriage, isn't that? And like the dickhead security guard's like, yeah, like you're just sitting there listening to that shit, and then
And
like
again, this is Ken Foree who's playing this, so another person from the original Dawn of the Dead. The general was Scott Reiniger, who's the other of the three. So all three of the main actors in the original have been brought into this one to play little bit TV roles like that. That's the running joke in the background, and they're all meant to be like, taken to the extreme. Don't take these people seriously, but
but that's not how
these
Snyder lenses it though.
that's not how the Snyder lenses it, and that's on purpose because what he's doing is he's setting up for one of the security guards to also adopt those attitudes. He refers to a zombie later as a Twitcher too, like he takes on this mannerism to try and look like the cool gun-toting general guy, and you're just like, oh,
So
cool.
again, that's the night, and then they go to bed and they wake up, and that's when um they're like, fuck, I need a coffee. How hard is it to make a coffee? And the one's like, I'd like I'm gonna get like a soy latte with foam. And that's when, again, so
You
there's three security guards, right? You have the main aggro dickhead, and then you
You're
have dumbass follower guy, and then you have the young one. And
the,
so
the young golden-hearted one.
yeah, the young nice boy. So the main guy wakes up and is like, "Hey, go fucking do this," and he's like, middle guy who's just dumb follower is like, you're the rookie, so you're the one in training, so you got to do it. And it's like, guys, the world's falling the fuck apart. If you think that hierarchy is still fucking a thing, you're dumb as shit. But anyway, so they tell the young nice boy to go out there and do it. And he's like, I'm gonna make a coffee. Like, I'm gonna get like a soy latte. And that's when dumb boy uses that F slur to about his coffee. Like, he uses a gay slur towards that guy because he wants a fucking latte. And it's like, cool. Thank you, Zack Snyder. That's what we needed. I get that it's 2004, but holy shit.
Again, a latte. We're not talking like any kind
even
of
for
fancy
2004,
coffee.
Even for 2004, that's pretty bad. So anyway,
Yeah.
you cut to
Oh,
the scene.
in Stevie is played by Michael Kelly. That's what I was thinking of from that show with that sex offender.
Well, so the sex
show.
There's so many
You
sex
know, Kevin
offenders.
Spacey, that one.
Ah, yes. But
Can't believe the show.
it cuts to
House of
them.
Cards.
It cuts to them like going to the bathroom, and you have both black guys in the bathroom like talking it over, and they're like, so what do you think? Like, you think it's the end of times, blah blah blah, like what's going on? And then you have Ving Rhames basically criticize the thug guy, and it's kind of like you can tell that this is like this is Zack Snyder's like worldview like coming in, where it's like, I want to criticize this black guy, but I can't because I'm white, so I'm gonna have a black voice say the things like where like, oh, you're blah, 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 blah. Like maybe if you weren't trying to steal TVs and shit. Like, it's like the weirdest fucking.
It's odd.
It's odd, but you can totally see that shit.
Like it almost makes me wonder if that wasn't something that was rewritten or something that somebody rewrote. I don't know. It's odd because again, it's setting up like it's going to be one of the security guards that's racist and should be saying shit like this, and then it's Ving Rhames instead.
But
it's
you
odd that it
couldn't-
would
you-
make that setup.
Like it seems like it would be something the security people would
It
say.
seems like what the dude with the handlebar
and
mustache,
then
whose name
somebody
is
somewhere just
CJ.
like it's just
Like,
like no, I think that's a little
CJ. CJ's the one who says racist shit, not Ving Rhames. Like, what the fuck?
But it's
I don't know.
okay.
It's-
It's okay because he's black.
It's fine. It's fine. He killed all
See-
those Martians at one time. It's fine.
It's fine. So no, so they end up on the roof, right, to discuss some shit, obviously, about like the rescue efforts, blah blah blah. And Anna, a white woman protagonist, is like, we need to do this or that, and one of the security guards says women need no, the one guy says like you need to shut the fuck up, and the handlebar mustache points the gun at her. She's like, get that gun out of my fucking face. And dipshit follower security guard, middle guy, says, got quite the mouth on you. No, the handlebar says got quite the mouth on you. Dumbass says, somebody should show her how to use it. Why? Like, we're
Because we have to have people that were allowed to kill off in like unearned ways. So
Yeah.
like if you notice that there's kind of a trend there, like the guy who points the gun at her before gets hit by the ambulance immediately. But he is first a threat. He is first an unreasonable threat, and then he's killed. It's not just some random person. You know, it's not like Zombieland, where it kind of does the same bit with the woman like hitting something in a car crash and flying out. Like, it's not an innocent person who has done nothing. Because he later dies a kind of silly death.
I'm just saying that like it was really just like he was already kind of an aggro dipshit. Like,
Right.
you didn't need to be like, by the way, he would totally sexually assault her too.
Yeah. I mean, he is obviously made out to be like the worst of them.
Right.
So you just don't feel bad when he dies off.
Kinda. So, but to continue from there, like they just turn the tables. Like, I can't remember who throws the first punch.
Michael.
Oh, it's Michael because he says that as soon as he says that about her, Michael runs up and just decks him.
Like,
He goes for the gun.
knocks the gun out of his hand and takes it out, and then now
Ving
they have,
Rhames goes after CJ and takes him out of the equation, and then third guard just up out faces and doesn't even question it.
Like he thinks they've gone too far now.
It was the sexual assault comment that did it.
It was that don't talk bad about the women folk. And so then immediately, well, because what ended up happening, the reason why this conversation happened is because they saw someone with a truck. They saw a truck driving around. And they were shooting and they were fighting off zombies. And like, we gotta help them. And they're like, we're not fucking helping anybody. We're not fucking helping anybody. And so then that conversation happens. So then they let these people in to. Because again, aggro dipshit's like, what if one of them's sick? I know that none of us here are sick. What if one of them's sick? Fuck that shit. And again, even though aggro dipshit is an aggro dipshit, he's right. Like, and that's why
because it cuts away from him saying all this shit to them bringing a woman in a wheelbarrow because she is. I mean, she doesn't even look like she's a real person. It looks like it's a fake dummy in the thing.
She has a chunk of her shoulder bitten off.
She is green colored with dark black streaks everywhere. Like she is obviously a zombie. It just hasn't quite woken up yet.
So here's the problem though. Like we see this person who's clearly been bit already, being brought in with the wheelbarrow and then like put in a bed and being looked after. But we saw earlier that in the very opening sequence, you get bit, and then within a minute, you're already turned and ready to go. But these people are driving around, and whatever the fuck, it took time to get in, get the wheelbarrow, get her under the bed, and then she dies, then she turns. And it's like, okay? Like,
okay, I actually think I know what's up with that, and maybe this is just me making shit up, but when you see him get bit in the opening scene, like, she takes out a chunk. I mean, she obviously hits arteries. There is no way he's going to survive. He literally does bleed out, even though a nurse is there trying to hold a compress to it pretty much immediately. Like, he was not going to survive regardless. And I think that if you are infected when you die, you become a zombie, but the bite doesn't necessarily kill you that quick. He just died. But if you're just bit while you're healthy, it obviously takes a lot of time because we see other people develop symptoms over time. It gets really bad. We're almost there.
It's the uncut version. You should have watched it.
Oh no, it's every version.
So they bring in more people. The fat lady changes. Anna kills her by shoving a thing in her eye. And then there's a guy in a gun store like down the street that they are communicating with a whiteboard. So they were writing messages out on whiteboards and like talking, and it's like it's really
Andy.
It's really clever. It's really clever use of like non-dialogue, like just writing stuff out and like because they wouldn't be able to communicate otherwise.
I was gonna say too, the whiteboard that they use like says diner on it. They obviously like went to one of the food court stores and ripped it off the wall, which I thought was really cool. Like. You don't have to have that be branded, but having that really does add a little bit to the feeling of realness that comes from the mall. The mall really does feel like a real mall. Well, not anymore. It feels like a mall that was still alive back in 2004.
And so there's definitely a James Gunn line, right? So they're talking about like what's gonna happen, and the people that came in the truck, Ving Rhames like, I'm going to the base. I'm going to Fort whatever. And they're like, we just came from there. Like, everyone, like, that's it. Like, there's no one there. Is everyone dead? Like, pretty much. Like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. And so...
Like, dead-ish.
Dead-ish.
The asshole says dead-ish.
Steve.
And Ray's like, no, but for real, is everyone dead? Well, they're dead in the sense that they laid down, and then they got up, and kind of kept going. And you're like, can you just fucking say yes to give this guy any amount of closure? Like, he needs to hear, yes, everyone's dead, nobody's still there, you can go looking for your person, but they're not going to be there if they are alive. And if they are there, they're dead. So don't go there. And just asshole cannot even say yes. Like, I fucking hate Steve.
I love Steve.
Fucking hate him. He's a great character.
I love Steve. So again, whenever he goes, Ving Rhames goes back up to the roof because he's like, I'm gonna go to the fort. Fuck that. And then he sees Andy across the way, and he holds up a thing like, "Hey, any news, information?" And he's like, "The fort's down, no help's coming." And then Andy writes back, "So what's the bad news?" I'm like, that's a James Gunn line if I've ever fucking seen it. So what's the bad news? Like, no one's coming. Cool. So then there's a bite on the hand on one of the people. And again,
the older dude with the like 20-something, late teenager daughter.
Right. And that's where, again, the different speed of changing kind of gets to me. Because, like, that dude, like, again, died, right? But, like, how? He seemed fairly healthy, like, not too long ago.
Again, I think what happens is that the virus does kill you over time.
How long? But look at how long did we don't know how long ago since the dad was bitten.
Right, we don't.
But we also don't know. We saw what happened with the pregnant lady.
Yeah.
That was at the beginning of the film. She kind of gets attacked, and so there it is.
That is at the very beginning of the mall when they first get in there. Yeah.
So again, it's kind of like it's weird that this guy died. I don't know. Again,
okay, so he had cancer, and so his immune system was already wrecked, and he just died faster.
I
don't know why I'm defending Zack Snyder's vision here, but like I can keep this going.
Again, and it's
how dare you question Zack Snyder?
Jack Snyder, dude.
Yeah.
Captain Jack Snyder. So you have heard of me though.
Picture Zack Snyder with like a very obviously fake mustache.
Oh, a Henry Cavill fucking CGI'd on mustache? What they removed from Henry Cavill, they fucking put on Snyder to make him Captain Zack Snyder. So okay, whatever. But here's the problem. So the dad is bit. He's gonna change. They know it. And here's Anna, white savior woman, who's like, "What? You're gonna kill them? You're gonna kill them, Michael? You're gonna kill this dude?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, yeah. And she's like, "Really? Then kill me. Why don't you kill that guy too?" And then he's like, "Whoa, I wasn't fucking bit. Like, what the fuck?"
I don't agree with the way she went about doing this, but I really enjoyed it because she's like, "All right, Michael, time to kill him." She's like, "Dude, what the fuck? You can't just no. I mean, you just want to kill him, so like, just do it. Might as well kill him too. I mean, he's hurt, but like maybe he'll die and get a zombie fight anyway. Might as well just kill everybody." Like, she really does just kind of go like,
but
whatever.
She's in the wrong. That's the thing. She's in the wrong.
That is the running theme of this movie is that nearly everybody who makes it to the point of being in the mall is at least savvy enough to survive a zombie apocalypse with no knowledge of what zombies are. Like we see that with her in the very beginning. She's the only person in that whole block who thought, okay, let me get away from the people who are biting. Let me grab my keys. Let me get in the car and drive away. She's the only one. And that's why she's at the mall. So like we have like a Hunger Games thing where there's a hierarchy to where we get to like just these people. And so they make really sound decisions until emotions come into play. And then they get fucked up.
Look,
every time.
Here's the thing. So Ving Rhames gets fucking put in charge of killing this guy and waits for him to die and turn before killing him. And like, so Michael kind of like comes around and there's to where Anna's at. And she's like, "Glad you didn't do it." Like, and here's what I wrote. "Fuck you." In my notes, that's all I wrote was "fuck you." Like, glad you didn't do it. And then all you hear is a "rah!" and then gunshot. And they're like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, he was right.
He turned.
He was right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, that is actually a running theme is that people are people are largely saying to do the right thing. Like, when Ving Rhames tries to leave, they're like, "No, don't. You're going to die." Like, good advice. The way that they get the truck in is really smart, actually. They back into the loading dock for the people that are in it, and then the other people in the cab get on top and climb onto the mall.
Climb the ladder.
Like, these are relatively competent people, or else they die really fast. And as we see, like, it is just a slow roll as people start falling. Like,
well, no, because so here's where like it cuts to a montage. Like, it cuts to a living life in the mall montage. And I don't know when's the last time that you've heard this band, but Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Their Down with the Sickness cover is played over the montage. Come on and get down with the sickness. Like,
yes.
So that's being played. And here's how the montage plays out. There's Ving Rhames and Andy on the roofs of their respective buildings with binoculars and the whiteboards, and they're playing chess. Like, they're saying what the next move is, holding it up, and then like, so they're playing chess. Like,
chess by mail.
Yeah, chess. It's clever. It's clever.
It's brilliant.
And then a woman is trying on lingerie.
The good stuff.
This older man is seen trying on heels, and you're just like, good for him. You're enjoying yourself there. And then people just trying to live their lives, watching, stuff. And then, like, there's Steve getting his fuck on. It's a sex scene. Yeah. Like, in this montage.
Just slam him.
Here's some more titties. Here's some titties. And then they're wasting time, right? So where Andy's at is at a gun store. He has walled himself off in a gun store. So he has all the ammo and all the weaponry he needs. So what they're doing is they're picking out people in the crowd for him to guess if he can see who they're talking about.
Yeah, so it wraps up with, like, obviously, like, a scoped-in view, and you see a person with very white pompadourish hair and kind of a big chin, and then the brains just blow out. And then it cuts back to the whiteboard and has Jay Leno written on it. And so they're playing
Guess who I'm looking
Guess
at.
Who with guns. So they go after Burt Reynolds next, and you see a guy in a red motorcycle
with a mustache,
and a very prominent mustache. And you're like, yeah,
and then boom,
fuck, that is Burt Reynolds. Like, Andy is good. It's made clear through this kind of funny side bit, though, that he is very good. He has a gun. He knows how to use it. He's got lots of ammo. He can move quickly. Like, I know it's like a funny piece, but it's also very informative as to who Andy is. He's probably the most confident person in this group. He's just in the worst spot.
Right, like he would have been super helpful.
If he could have gotten a load of shit up and then gotten over to the mall, they would be set for a while. Like, they could actually hold out for a minute.
So what ends up happening, though, is like after this moment, we cut to, because again, before they got the new people, when they took the guns away from the security guards, they locked them up. So they're in lockup, and then here's the man who was trying on heels talking to the two security guards. So we're talking about main aggro dickhead and the follower dickhead, the one that used the gay slur. So here's this old man basically like, so when I first realized I was gay, and they're just like, oh my god, they're basically telling him shut the fuck up, because like there's nowhere to go, and this man's just like unloading on them like his story. And so immediately when he's all like, well, there's the carpenter who is, working on the deck outside, and they're like, oh my god, the middle dickhead just starts doing push-ups. And the main guy is just like, oh, I'm in hell. And like, I would feel that way regardless if someone was just like opening up to me in that way. But like, you can tell that the other guy is like, I gotta push up the gay way. Like no,
gotta work it out.
Gotta work it out.
Yeah, I mean, when taken with the lens of having the televangelist scene earlier, like, you can't help but feel like gay is being codified as being bad throughout the movie, which is really frustrating. And also very heavily
to myself that I'm straight. I gotta do push-ups.
It also I mean, this is 2004 for sure, but it just kind of blurs the lines between gender and sexuality. He's not gay because he's trying on women's shoes. Like, they're not necessarily correlated and shouldn't have been correlated as such in the movie. They are very much so in this, which, great for visibility, I guess, but
it was just a weird moment to include it all. Again, it's one of those things where that's a thing that you would remove from the entire process. That entire the heel trying on heels could have been cut. Talking to them while they're in prison thing could have been cut. It'd been fine. He could have just been another person who gets killed at a later point. It's fine.
Obviously, though, 2004 would be
so
different if it was made today.
True, but maybe not with Zack Snyder. Maybe it wouldn't be different.
I feel like Zack Snyder would genuinely try to be better than that. Like, I don't think he tries to be.
2011 was Sucker Punch. Person. Like, it's kind of, again, you're talking about like 7 years later we got Sucker Punch.
We probably should do Sucker Punch because I have thoughts. But like, that isn't done necessarily to try and depower women. In his mind, I'm pretty sure he thinks that he's empowering women by making movies like that.
Right, but again, that's years later where it's a different way. But anyway, so we cut then to pregnant Russian lady going through labor. So you have thug, you have thug, black guy, Russian lady. Russian lady's tied up,
She is bound and not looking good.
and she's already turning veiny and gray, and she's like, oh, and like, oh, come on, push, baby, push. And then she ends up, dying and turning as she's giving birth. And she gives birth to a zombie baby.
Yeah, we're going a little fast there. She does give birth to a zombie baby. So she dies. Russian wife dies, and husband dude, whatever, is just like disturbed. Like he is actually like looking at this process like with a little bit of glee. It's like it's a mix of horror and fascination. I guess like he's not doing well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And then she stops moving, and he, leans in to kiss her several times, and then close the eyes as they do the running your hand over it. But as he's leaning on the kiss, we see a shot from kind of her lower, torso or whatever, and we see like the stomach in frame with him behind it, and we see it start to move a little bit. Think
gurgles.
eggs and Alien.
Okay.
Think like a little chest burstery. And then, God, the way it indicates that the birth is happening is you just see white sheets, and then between her legs, like just a shot of blood.
Just like.
Have
you ever stepped on a ketchup packet?
Yeah.
That is the visual that they provide for the birthing process, which is.
But if it was like a sandwich bag full of ketchup rather than a small packet, like it was very much a large amount. It came out at a very high velocity. Like you can do ballistic. It was wild.
So then there's one of the old women who was a part of the truck group shows up, and she's like, "What the fuck is happening?" And like he has a swaddling around him, and he's like, "It's a girl." And she's just like, "What the fuck?" It's like the wife is tied up in zombie, and she's like, "What the fuck?" The old lady shoots the Russian lady, well, because she's like.
She was quiet until that point, and then she suddenly like starts jostling and freaking out. So like all of a sudden she sees a zombie, pulls her gun to shoot it, which is a completely reasonable reaction given the zombie fucking apocalypse around them.
Right, and one of the things that the black guy says, like, "What? You trying to fuck with my family? This is my family." Like he's clearly lost his fucking mind. When this old woman's just like, shoots the Russian lady. And then the black dude pulls out his gun, shoots the old lady, and then the old lady shoots him, and then they have
back and forth.
It's
usually like 3 or 4 shots each.
It's not just that. So you have thug black guy and this old white woman have a slow-mo shootout. It's just.
You're seeing it's cutting to like the barrel of the gun
and the
being
shells
in your face.
falling.
The shells tinkling down. Like it is the most ridiculous, like indulgent scene. It is pure Snyder.
Why do we have it's such the Snyder scene, but the characters who are in it, it's like you're shooting an old white woman, and then like you have this, and it's just like shells are falling, and then like one even lands upright. Like one falls down and then goes stink and then like lands upright, and it's like, oh my gosh, you fucking visionary, you did it.
You know he was fucking losing his mind when they got that shot. He's like, oh my god, it stood up on end. That's going in the movie.
That's the shot. We got it.
Okay, so that is the scene that I think kind of exemplifies the combination of what James Gunn does and what Zack Snyder does.
Okay.
James Gunn likes writing the comedy element of horror. He likes the body horror to a certain extent too. Like that felt very much like it was James Gunn going, oh yeah, pregnant zombie. It's gonna be fucking unreal. And then Snyder's like, oh yeah, pregnant zombie. Let's have them shoot the fuck out of each other as like a response to it. Like I can visualize it going from something maybe a little more nuanced and thought out to something that's just gunfire, slow motion.
Well, because they move right past it, right? Like it's super quick. A lot of things they sit there and they think about. Yeah. And this one they really don't, because then they hear the gunshots and everyone's like, oh shit. And it's like the group runs to where they hear the gunshots. They see the old woman dead on the floor, and they're like, "Oh fuck!" They wanted to shoot her in the head, and she's like, "No, she's dead from gunshots. She's not bitten anywhere. Like, she's fine. But she's gonna get back up, right?" Like, no, she got shot. You idiot.
Right.
And-
They're establishing like it's the bite. It's explicitly the bite.
And so
Like,
they
like,
see
like,
this baby, and they're like, "Oh fuck!" And the baby's like, "Wah!" Like zombie baby. Wah!
It's the fucking ice baby from Game of Thrones.
the Game
like,
of
it has
Thrones
the fucked
demon
up
baby.
eyes and everything. It actually looks
Yeah.
really cool. Like I'm not gonna lie.
And then
visually,
Okay.
and then immediately they're like, "Okay, dead, dead, dead," and then baby. And so they just shoot the baby in the head, and they move the fuck on.
yeah. Move on.
They don't
Alright.
dwell on it at all. They don't dwell on it at all.
Yeah. So I do have
I
one
mean,
question.
it
though,
is a
on-
zombie, so
I do have one question on that character though. The gun-toting truck driving woman. So like,
Okay.
she's a truck driver. She's the one who's driving the truck, owns the truck, I think.
Let's see.
She does have a gun. She handles herself very well. Is she queer?
I don't think it's explicitly stated in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's not explicitly stated. I'm asking opinion here because there's one particular scene that I think just just bashes it over the head for me. They're sitting around the mall, food court or whatever, and the blonde with the curly hair who's already been in lingerie and just like slammed on scene. Like we've seen every bit of her already.
Titty.
She's just like smoking a cigarette, doing her thing. She's got it in her mouth, and the shot is pointed down, like you're looking down her shirt, effectively. And the older trucker woman behind her just like leans down, takes the cigarette out of her mouth, and starts smoking it. And there's just a little bit of a smile between the two of them, and I'm like, "What was that, Zach? That was
Again, sure, but like that's one of those things where
Am I wrong, El? Like, as a sapphic woman, that hit me a certain way.
I mean, it's one of those things where I saw that and I was like bonding over the apocalypse kind of thing. Like, sure, but like I didn't read it that way because it's like because of who Zach is. That's why I didn't read it that way.
I read it that way because if an older woman did that to me, I would feel like I was being hit on first. But that's just me.
I'm just saying that Zack Snyder is not subtle. Again, he had the gay character explicitly say, so when I first thought that I was gay, and it's like, and you have this guy go, oh, gay people, like.
Okay, but again, the game I like to play is how does Zack Snyder think that this is progressive? Because I can always find some way that it's like, oh, well, if you were really dumb, you might think you were doing something good here.
If you were dumb, you'd like this. Okay.
So if you were dumb, you can almost see that as him going, okay, so we have the gay character he knows this guy's homophobic. We know the guy's homophobic. He's just torturing them. Like, he knows what he's doing is obnoxious. He's not doing it because he wants to share or talk to people. He's just torturing these people for being bigots. And like that's almost a thing that could be seen as good if you were Zack Snyder, who doesn't understand themes and metaphors much.
So
Again, I don't know if I'm just like trying desperately to interpret things that don't make any goddamn sense otherwise. It's probably what I'm doing. Like it's a form of coping.
yeah, I would not give.
I
Zack
cope
Snyder
with Snyder's
that much.
lack of themes by just making up new ones.
I'm just gonna insert whatever fucking thought I want.
Look, there's some really interesting queer stories in here if you just ignore what's actually said and make up your own shit.
True.
So
Okay,
that's
so
what
so dead baby, moving on, and now they're like, well, what do we do? What do we do? And here's Steve, this rich asshole, who was like, sure, let's just get on my fucking boat and drive away, you know. And they're like, that's a great idea, actually. And he's like,
are we skipping ahead a little bit?
No. Again, unless
Did that come before the Andy stuff?
no. Hang on.
I
It
thought
does come before the Andy stuff.
Oh wow, okay. So it's kind of set up.
So here's what ends up happening, right? So they have this meeting about what the fuck do we do. Steve makes this joke like, we should just get on my boat, I guess, and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, just go on a pleasure cruise. It'll be fun.
And they were like, yeah, we should get the fuck out of here. Like, maybe an island doesn't have people. Like, oh, fuck, that's a great idea. So they're like, okay, so what do we do? We have these fucking, like, these transport buses. Like, let's fucking, like, armor them up so we can, like, head out. And so then it cuts to bus montage. And so it's a montage of them, like, you know, welding things and, like, putting barbed wire. So they're decking out these fucking buses, right? They're like, fuck yeah, we're going to make the best badass fucking transport vehicles ever. We're making our own APCs. So then...
Including a slot for the chainsaw to go out and slice zombies in half.
Yeah, including a place that's open so they can put this chainsaw out there and go and fuck them up. So... then they end up on the roof, right? And like Andy's holding a sign that says "hungry," and Ving Rhames is like, "Shit!" Like Ving Rhames goes, "No shit," and the ultimate sign says 5 more days. Like in 5 days we'll be ready to take off. We'll fucking go get you and we'll take off. But he's holding a sign that says "hungry," like he's out of food, and they're like, "Fuck! What do we do? What do we do?" And
Real
so,
quick, pause. Go on. They want him to look like famished, emaciated, right? So they've just taken like mud and like rubbed it on his chest to make it look like he's got ribs. Like he's not skinny. They've just taken dirt and kind of given him a little fake rib cage real quick. It is the funniest goddamn thing because it bends around his little bit of a beer belly that he kind of has as he's lifting the thing up. You're just like, oh wow! Like if I wasn't looking for it, I wouldn't really think much of it. But if you look at it,
this
like,
character is he like he's just way too far from them to like
he's across the
he's
street.
in a gun store, like
parking
imagine
lot?
that you're at the mall, and then there's the whole parking lot, and then there's the street, and he's like on a gun store on that street, a little like a
On the
block
other
or
side.
two down.
On the other side.
So like he's within range to see with like binoculars, but not within range to like yell across and talk to.
Okay.
Like again,
Like,
you
too
see
much of a distance to run quickly.
And then between all of them is just like a sea of zombies.
Yes.
Thousands of
Yes.
zombies, like literally
Okay.
a sea. Like you've watched South Park, right?
Yeah.
The California
So the
episode?
homeless episode,
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
that is based off of Dawn of the
This-
Dead. So
yeah.
so the bus they drive and all that, that's all taken straight from it. So if you imagine that, it's basically the same concept.
So they fix up the bus, right? And then like again, Andy's hungry, and they're like, "Fuck, what do we do?" So
He's dying.
in the meantime, they found a dog named Chips, and they're like, "Oh, I have an idea. The dog won't get fucking bit by zombies. Fuck yeah, let's send
They
the
don't
dog."
care about dogs. We don't have any
Yeah.
reason to believe that. We have
course.
no reason to believe that they don't go after dogs. But they are all just like, yep, we're just gonna put him down there and he'll be fine.
And also, like this dog now, is so well trained. They're like, "Yeah, go over there, and you know exactly where the fuck to go." Anyways, the dog does know apparently. So they.
I guess we can assume that he is the best dog since he has survived too. So
Just
he
the
is
best dog.
most susceptible to training.
He's the goodest of boys.
He's the goodest
Like-
of boys. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
So they put a little harness on him with like pockets and stuff. So they've loaded him up with like food and stuff. And they rig up a little rope and chain and they start to lower him down from the roof.
"Oh, you're hurting
like-
him!" Ah! And they're like, "It's fine."
Yeah, and
shut
the girl
fuck
who has
up."
adopted him is just losing her mind. Because again, there really is no reason to believe that they won't just eat that fucking dog. Like
Oh no,
they're really hopeful, but, like,
but again, it's just really weird though. So like the girl who's the daughter of the dad who Ving Rhames killed, right? Like the young dipshit security guard and her are now a thing
right.
somehow. So they're a thing, and so the dog is like. So you have the young idiot security guard, the daughter whose dad just got fucking murked, and the dog. And so they send the dog away, and the dog gets to Andy at the gun store. He opens up his little door thing. The dog goes in, and then as it's closing, the zombie catches it. And now the zombies are getting inside the fucking building, and they're like, "Oh shit, what do we do?" And so, idiot girl goes. She disappears, right? And they're like, and then they hear a vehicle. The truck that the other guys came in, she is now taken that truck and driven to the gun store to go rescue the dog.
Now, mind you, they did have a radio connection with this guy. They just didn't use it much because it burned power and they didn't have a lot of supplies of that, which is set up in the movie. I'm not just making that one up. So they actually get on the radio with him. And they're like, "Hey, man, are you okay?" And he goes, "Oh, man, those fuckers bite hard." And you're like,
And they're like,
man.
"Oh fuck, man, that sucks."
And they're all like talking around. They're like, "Do we tell him?" They're like, "No, fuck no."
And they're like, "I can't wait to see you in person soon." And then like,
Yeah. And then you just lose touch with Andy. And then
So-
she drives the van over there, or the truck or whatever, and crashes it like into the spot and, runs inside.
they hear the entire thing over the walkie-talkie. So like, it's a clever use of filmmaking where it's kind of like, because again, the typical thing is show don't tell, but there are some things that you can basically like not show, and your imagination kind of fucking fills in the gaps. That's really good.
Yeah. So they set it up to like you hear it over the walkie.
Yeah, she's like, and she's
it
like,
just sounds gruesome.
yeah, and she's like, "Oh fuck, like, oh fuck," and so you hear fighting and all that stuff, and they're like, "We gotta go after her." And it's like, dude, his girlfriend's already fucking dead. Fuck you, and like, we gotta go get her. We gotta go get her. So now they have this fucking mission to rescue this idiot who went after the dog, and so like they all like load up on their guns and they've already counted their ammo. They don't have shit, so they're like, "Well, we're going to the gun store. Like, we'll get supplies."
Right.
So they go after the idiot.
They justify going after her and the dog by saying, "Oh, well, we don't have any ammo. We can at least load up on stuff there. Like this is a valuable supply run. We were counting on his guns as part of our escape plan." So they go after it.
So they go after idiot.
The guns.
They go to the gun. They go to the gun store, and shit goes tits up. They like obviously things go wrong, and then as they try to escape into the sewers, one of the other guys from the truck fell down, breaks his knees or like breaks his legs, right? So like now he's like they have
which is also kind of set up. Like he was injured before. They mentioned that he rolled his ankle when he tripped. So like already weak, and then he's trying to get down the man. They use the manhole system and the sewer system to go through. So he's trying to get to the manhole and get down, and he gets attacked. So he just fucking drops like a dead 15 feet directly on his hurt leg. You can just hear it crunch as soon as he does. Like he just goes down.
And so like they have aggro dipshit security guard there, and he hands him 2 pistols, and then grabs the back of his shirt and starts tactical dragging him. And so
he's tag dragging him while he's firing off the Kimbo like it's fucking amazing.
It's the most Zack Snydery thing I think I've seen without it being in slow motion. It was beautiful.
It's so good.
It was a great shot. And then
and again, the storytelling of this scene is great too. Like I actually really like it.
And so the zombies get to him, and so dipshit, main security guard takes the guns from him, and he's like, "Shoot me!" And so he pops him in the head, and then fucking runs. And they get back to the.
Hold on, before we go on from that though, like again, part of that is the character development of CJ. Like before, he was like, "No, let's literally kill everybody. Like I don't fucking care about anybody else. I just want to live." Like. There even was a 4th security guard at one point who went venturing forth and got zombified. And he blows his head away without even thinking about it. Like this man has no sympathy or anything like that. But as soon as he sees Clint or whatever his name was go down, like he doesn't even think about it. He just goes straight to him, tries to pick him up, can't pull it off.
Okay. So then question. So you're saying that in Zack Snyder's world,
specifically. Because that makes a difference.
In Zack Snyder's world, this super aggro, fuck you, I'm getting mine, security guard. He read an article in Cosmo and suddenly became a fucking humanitarian.
Yes, or at least through the combined efforts of working as a group to survive, he has seen the error of his ways and now values other people.
But he didn't.
Right, it's not set up. Like it really doesn't like get set up that way. But if you just take that scene in a vacuum, it's great. Like okay, cool. Like this is the asshole. He actually helps. The Kimbo thing is cool. Handing him the guns and then saying "shoot me" is really kind of cool.
Here's what happened though, Fod.
Again, interesting gun thought. Weird Snyder execution.
Here's what happened, Fod. He's reading a magazine who's like. Top 10 ways to have a good relationship or whatever, and like he's sitting there reading this listicle, and he goes like to number 1 is like trust is the most important foundation in having a relationship, and he's sitting there reads this, and like he's like, oh okay, whatever, and then when he's going for the fucking mission, he's like, I need a gun. Because trust is the most foundational thing for a relationship, which makes it sound like
when
he's
they
being
decided
sarcastic.
to go like try and do this, like
so does he does everything on this list leading up to that or no?
No, it's worth listening to, but like he when they start to go on this mission initially, he and the other bad douchebag guard are still imprisoned, and so they're being forced to come do this against their will because they know the mall and know how to get to places, and know how to get to the sewer and all that. And so they're not coming along willingly, and he says, "No, you're fucking coming. You're not going back up there. You either come or you fucking go back into prison."
And that's when
I need a gun then. And he's like, "I'm not going to give you a gun." And he goes, "Trust
is the most important
thing in a relationship." Like quotes the article exactly.
It's like
and so every man, Michael, or whatever, smashes the fire thing next to it and grabs the axe and tosses it to him, which is a cool moment.
But then the
Cosmo thing, fucking ridiculous. I love it.
It's a dumb moment.
But for Snyder, that is setup. That is setup and payoff. He's like, see, he learned from the magazine. It's setup payoff. It works. And you're like, well, I'm watching and not thinking about it. Yeah, it works.
So okay, so again, so when they're in the other underground parking thing, the other security guard gets killed, and so as they fight their way back into the mall, Steve's not there to open the door, so Anna shows up to open the door, and so then now because of how long that took, zombies are not getting in, and they're like, "Fuck." And so they run to the elevator to get there as quickly as possible, and a really cool Zack Snyder-y moment happened. It's more of a James Gunn moment. I feel like that's definitely a James Gunn moment. You could tell in the script.
Yeah.
So the score is intense.
I feel like that same shot is in Guardians too, like the exact same elevator scene somewhere. Like I have that vision.
We can probably find it, but so what ends up happening is they're fighting, gunshots, gun battle. The score is intense. They get to the elevator. And then it cuts out. All the sound just cuts out, and all you hear is elevator music. Is and they're just all crowded in this elevator. And one guy's like, "I like this song." Like,
yeah, CJ. It's all out of love. It's all out of love that's playing as like elevator music style. So it's like real light and
the
airy.
Muzak version.
Yeah. In the CJ, the handlebar redneck guy goes, "Oh, I like this song."
Yeah. And they're just like, cool. And then it's like, all right, it's not 5 days. We got to get this bus. We got to get in the bus and get the fuck out of here. And everyone's like, fuck yeah, let's go. So they hop in the buses and take off. And then suddenly, again, it's one of those things where you can't take the shot literally. It's a Zack Snyder shot of exaggeration. These two buses take off, and then suddenly they're swarmed. And I mean, like, swarmed in that... Have you ever been on the front row of a concert?
Yeah.
It's that across the entire street. Like, that's how packed it is with these two buses. Like, oh, God, they're trying to flip us. I'm like, how? Like, there's so many people.
Because it's rocking back and forth. Like, oh, they're trying to flip it over, are they? Like, I feel like they're trying to crawl on it.
Yeah, it looks like, and so they're like, okay, so how do we get through this? They're like two buses just inching through. They're shooting through the holes. Chainsaw.
One of the buses has like a snowplow or whatever on it, so it's got like a very good ram to it. Like they've actually really thought this up. Like there's a lead car, a wedge ram. Like they actually thought a lot about what they're gonna do here.
They even spray
except for one key element.
Which was?
So as they're driving away, and they're getting like rocked and whatever, what is his name? We keep calling him Bob because he reminded me of Bob from Schitt's Creek. But the church organist pulls out the chainsaw, right?
Wait. Before that though, before that moment, because that's before disaster. Before that, because they're in this sea of bodies, and they're like, "Fuck, we got to clear them out." And so, Handlebar Mustache, they have a propane thing that they light the end of it and then like throw it out like a bomb.
They have a traffic
flare
stuck in the mechanism,
and then the guy shoots it and it has a big ass explosion, and suddenly the street's cleared.
Yeah, it like you actually see like shockwaves ripple through the zombies. Like hundreds of zombies are getting hit and knocked over, and then they're just gone. Yeah, and then they're just gone because again they don't have to drive over them or anything, and they're just gone.
They're just gone. The bodies are, so then they speed off, and then like for some reason, and again I took note of it. I took a pretty good note of it. The propane tank bomb cleared that congestion up real quick. Then like, they hit everything. Like there's ways that they could have not hit every single one of those fucking cars.
Yes, they're very careless with their
driving. Just like
they don't need to be because there is no longer a zombie threat. At least in that immediate area. Like they can afford to drive slowly, but they don't. They drive bad to hell.
They speed
in
off.
A church van.
There's one zombie still on one of the buses. They're like, oh shit, and they're like, yeah, well let me get the chainsaw. And this is the scene that Nick is referring to. So Bob.
I don't know what his name was.
The heel-wearing gay man grabs a chainsaw, and then Nick, what happens?
So he grabs a chainsaw and revs it up to get ready to try and get after the zombie. And I can't remember what it is that causes it, but suddenly the van lurches, like they take a turn.
They hit another car.
Yeah, they hit a car that they didn't have to hit, right? And because of this, he like spins around and finds lingerie girl with the chainsaw and just, I mean, cuts her damn near in half.
Okay.
Right across the tits. Like, because we've seen them, we have to cut there, obviously. Like, that's set up and payoff for
That's it.
Snyder.
That's her entire character.
That's her character arc.
She
We're
got
done with her.
fucked. She got fucked by Steve. She tried on lingerie, and then she gets cut by. No, but here's the thing.
Actually, that's true. So because she fucked, she had to die by the internal logic of
For some reason, the gay man had to kill a cis white female.
potentially a queer woman, thus.
So the bus
Eliminating a
the
lesbian?
bus crashes. It's the one with Ving Rhames driving it. So it's Ving Rhames, Steve, the gay man, and the Steve's bitch. So gay man and Steve's lady are dead. Steve immediately, as soon as the bus crashes, Steve immediately gets out of the bus. I mean, he's like, fuck it, every man for himself.
Not even that. Like, Ving Rhames like reaches up to try and grab his hand, like, can you help me up? And he's like, nah, and runs out of the little roof compartment and then shuts it. Like, not just getting out. He's not going back to help them. Like, he gets out and shuts it and is ready to just dip. Like, he's got his gun ready, pulls his gun out, makes sure it's ready, cocks it, ready to go. And then you start to see blood dripping.
Blood like hits his arm, and he's like, "What the fuck?" He looks
Yeah,
up.
he's like, am I bleeding?
Ah, a zombie! And then the zombie
Smash
gets him.
cut.
And the zombie gets him. And then you have Ving Rhames getting out of the out of the back.
The very next cut is him in the exact same spot. Like, we haven't moved camera. Steve didn't go anywhere. He just got out of the van and then got disappeared by the zombie.
No.
And then Ving Rhames pops out 2 seconds later.
No, he pops out. Yeah. So he pops out of the same hole, and then Anna shows up, and she tries to go back in there, and he's like, no, everyone's dead. Steve left, and
so she goes in there anyway and looks.
well, she looks, and she sees chainsaw bug and gay man on the floor, and she's like, ah, shit. And then they start leaving, and then there's zombie Steve, who then gets up from the front of the bus. He's like, rah, zombie Steve.
You see him initially, and you're like, oh, is he okay? Because he just looks like roughed up, but maybe not zombied. And then he does like almost the what was that movie? The Happening? Was that it? Where it's Don Sutherland going,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Isn't that?
Was that it?
Where he goes,
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah. So it seems kind of like a reference to that almost. Like, again, not subtle.
And then they're like, and then Anna's like, don't worry, I got it. And then she's like fucking gleeful as shit to shoot Steve in the head.
Yeah.
Like she just goes boom, and Steve goes down. And it's like, is that your character development? Is that what your character? Because before you were like, no, we can't do it.
Yeah, it is actually. She goes from
Steve. Fuck that guy.
She goes from the nice like, oh, I'm gonna check on the neighbor girl because she's skating backwards and that's cool, to, oh, we have to save everybody, to, no, just blow this fucker away. The second I know he's a zombie, he's gone. Because she says that earlier. It's set up in the movie. Maybe it was not her. Maybe it was somebody else. But somebody had said something to him about that, and he goes, if I ever turn into one of those zombies, I want you to put one right in my head. And they did. That's what happened. And so again, set up payoff by Snyder standards.
So anyway, by Snyder standards, yeah. So she starts running away. Then she's like, oh, fuck. She remembers to run back and like searches through Steve's shit. And then like they're like, get to the bus. The zombies are coming around the corner. Zombies are coming around the corner. And so they're running. Like, and Anna's lagging behind, and because of that, like, the zombies get to the other bus. By the time that she gets there, they like pull her in. Like, the zombies are attacking, and they take off. And they were like, "What the fuck was that?" And she holds up the keys to the boat.
Set up and payoff. It's there, motherfuckers. First 5 minutes gets paid off in the third act. Like, again, I'm not saying it's good setup and payoff. I'm just saying it exists.
It's there.
It is making points there. I don't know if they land. I don't know if they're good things to talk about. I don't know what the fuck he means by them. But he is doing these things on purpose. It's not just happenstance.
This is deliberate filmmaking here. Okay. So and then like you could tell that something happened to Michael, but they don't show it yet. And so they're driving.
The way it's cut, you're like, oh man, did he get hurt? Like, you can tell like he was close.
Something happened. So then they're driving, and then once again they're hitting every goddamn boat and everything in the parking lot. I'm like, what is happening? Drive better. Fuck. Anyway, So they get to the boat, and then they start loading up. But no, they crash. Right, they end up kind of crashing, and then
Onto the dock.
so you have Ving Rhames, you have Anna, you have Michael, you have dipshit security guard,
CJ.
And who is that? It? That was just those four, right?
No, let's see. It's CJ, Ving Rhames, Michael, Anna, and then
young guy,
is it
young guy and the daughter,
there?
young guy and the daughter.
Yeah.
Young guy and the daughter are still there.
And Chips, the dog.
And Chips, the dog.
Oh my God, Chips actually lives.
Chips is still.
They get Chips back.
They do.
Like, when they go to check on the daughter, she's actually okay. Like it bait and switches you into thinking she's gotten eaten, but they go in there, blow Andy's head off, and then find her in the closet okay.
Well, yeah. So they got her and the dog back. So it's those 6, 7 into the dog. So they crash the truck and they're like, "Oh shit! Like we need to get out of here." And so for some reason, main aggro security guard like doesn't leave the truck. Everyone else is like leaving the truck, and he's like, "No, I'll stay here." And it's like, "Well, why?"
He says he's going back for supplies. I thought like he's getting the duffel bags out and stuff, but they still have some of the improvised explosive devices in the van.
But whatever.
They crash into the dock though, and I think that actually does make a difference.
So it's like, okay, so the zombies then overwhelm the truck. And they set up him putting a big propane tank. I mean, like huge, like this tall propane tank in the truck. They set that up earlier.
That they just put a like. Is this the first time we've seen it, or were they?
No. They saw CJ worked on it. Like he was making this bomb. He set this up, and so they are. The bus is being overwhelmed by zombies. Like he's being the bait essentially, and it ends up happening. And everyone else is getting to the boat, and he's like, do I have what he said? Well, anyway, they made the asshole stay behind because they would give him a redeeming heroic moment. So he's getting fucking attacked. He then like lights a flare with a gun. He shoots the end of the flare with his pistol. Boom, flares on, and he's like, he says something, and then like, boom, big ass explosion, and all those zombies are gone. And so now they're at the boat going like, oh my God, he sacrificed himself. And then Michael's like, oh fuck, like you guys gotta go without me. And Anna's like, no, Michael, I can help you. Like, no, there's nothing you can be done. And he's completely right now. He's completely right. There's nothing you can do for me. Look, I'm bit. Like he
says some goofy shit like I'm just gonna watch the sunrise or something.
Like I'm gonna enjoy the sunrise. Like don't worry about me. You can help. No, you can't help me. You can help them. Like go help them. And then she's just like, ah! And it's like, dude, didn't your like significant other just die like not that long ago?
They did establish that these two have apparently hooked up. Like they do fuck at one point, not on screen because they're the main people, but they are definitely in some sort of relationship by this point. At least again, in like casual sex terms.
And again, it's like, damn, dude. And then like now, here's what I wrote. Right, I wrote, oh no, Michael got bit. Oh no, also so brave. And then she's so distraught because another PP is a zombie. Like.
And as it starts to fade out, you see him on the dock as they kind of start to float away.
And the sun's rising. The sun's rising.
Yeah, and he's getting to see the sunrise. And you see him kind of look at it and go,
puts the gun underneath his chin, and then it cuts to her. It cuts to her just looking off into the docks, and then it fades to black, gunshot.
Yeah, like a
credits start.
Cut.
That's it.
That's
no
the movie.
No, it is not the movie.
But there's an epilogue because it's Zack Snyder.
Because it's Zack Snyder, motherfucker. So
we have an epilogue that plays through the entire credit roll.
No, so wait though. During the earlier montage, you had Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine playing Down with the Sickness cover, right? So here's what it's sad face, cut to black, gunshot, like a fucking student film. It is so fucking bad. But then the real Down with the Sickness starts playing.
Disturbed.
Like Disturbed's Down with the Sickness starts playing. And not just the song. It's specifically the moment in the song that is usually never on the radio. It's the moment that is the fucking mother beating him. Yeah, that's what it starts on. It starts on like, oh, mommy, don't do it. Oh, don't do it again, mom. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening? And
don't make me watch this movie again.
And so
But
okay,
then we go to
no,
epilogue credits.
sorry, no.
Those are actually first. I think.
Sorry,
That's
I got that wrong. I got that wrong.
Yeah, the song is after the epilogue credits.
The song is after what ends up as a punk song starts. A punk song, like a real kind of like weird, like just a punk grunge song, and then it here's directed by whatever, and it cuts off credits, and then you start seeing a home video.
Yeah,
and it starts off with tits. So the first thing you do is see titties because it's trying to be like, don't leave just yet. We got titties, titty.
So this is on the boat too. Like you're seeing her like in a bikini with it coming off, and then you see
Steve and her chilling.
Steve, the asshole. So now you're like, okay, this is Steve's camera. We're seeing Steve's footage from pre-zombie, and then at a certain point, it kind of cuts over, and you hear the survivors talking.
They're recording over with his camera, and they're like, "Where'd you find
found
that?"
Footage.
Yeah,
we shifted to found footage in the credits here. And you see them like looking for food in the boat. There's not much available. Like it's maggoty and infested and all that. Like they don't have a lot of resources. And I guess this is a fucking Great Lake because like they seem like they're on the water for days with no land in sight, but it is very much so a lake that has islands. They mentioned that explicitly. Mm-hmm. So it's a lake that they're seafaring on. You see a buoy at one point. You see a boat.
The montage of the home video is also like, so you see the food that's rotten, so you can tell they're running low on food, and then you see the fuel gauge down to zero.
Hits E. Yeah.
So they're like, oh fuck, they're running low on supplies, and like they see a boat, like a small little dinghy,
fishing boat.
It's like a little dinghy. They go up to it. And then they open up the chest, and it's just like there's a head in the ice chest.
Yeah,
and it's like
there's a cooler, and you're like, oh, food, and you open it up, and it's all still operating zombie head.
And so they're like, shoot it, and then it cuts out again. And again, this is just like the video comes up, fades to black, more credits. Video fades to black, more credits. Like
it'll intersperse like a frame or two from Steve, and then back to them re-recording. Like it's trying to make sure you're aware that this is found footage on the camera. Don't forget that
it's found footage. So then. And then again, as when it shows the out of fuel thing, there's that the punk music that was there at the beginning. Like once things start going bad, like with no fuel, the music just goes away and there's no music. So it's like credits and like interspersed them going like, oh fuck, like what do we do? Like it turned into the fucking Blair Witch Project, and like oh there's the island, and like they get to the dock of the island, and the dog just takes off, and they're like oh chips. And then come back. And so the entire time because like, the music's gone now. So when they're cutting in and out of the video footage, it's making these weird like video sounds that I don't really like. They're so synthetic. It's that whole like it's a glitchy video sound. Like
right.
I hated that. Like it really like even for what it was, I was like that's dumb. So then you start hearing zombies. So now there's zombies like storming the boat. The camera that falls over and is now on its side as zombies are running, and then that's when it cuts to black. Like they finally get to this island. There's a shit ton of zombies. They're now being swarmed. And then it cuts to the real Down with the Sickness where it's talking about where it's the fucking mom beating him part. And that's the movie where there's no hope. Like
no hope.
Again,
none. Okay, and that again, I think, is Snyder in a small, tiny way trying to pay homage to the original.
The original had hope at the end.
It didn't.
For Dawn of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead. Sorry, I wasn't clear. Night of the Living Dead is bleak. It is not in positively. There is one survivor. Spoilers for a movie that's like 40 years old, and in the it's free source. Like anybody can play that shit now. Anyway, the last guy is a black guy, which is kind of crazy for the time. Romero was
Ken
all
Foree,
about,
right? That's Ken Foree.
Yeah. Romero was all about like just pushing social boundaries. Like his movies were meant to be commentary. And so after he survived, everybody else has died. Like we've slowly seen every one of the survivors in this get picked off one by one in this house that they're hiding out at. And he's in the basement having survived. And you see like a posse of people come up. Oh, like, oh yeah, we're, great. He's going to survive. He's going to live. And then they open the door to the basement with him there and they just fucking shoot him.
No. What ends up happening is he leaves the house and there's people in the distance and you're like, fucking people there to save him. And so he starts walking towards them. They then shoot him. And then it cuts to that group of people and they're like, another one. Got him. All right, well,
Right. I think it was a different one. There's another one that ends with the basement thing, which is again the same kind of ending. It's the you can survive all of this and you're still dead at the end. Like it doesn't
right,
fucking
yeah. So
matter.
everyone who was throughout the entire movie of Night of the Living Dead is dead. Dawn of the Dead ends with a very much more hopeful like helicopter rescue ending,
Right.
and then Land of the Dead has another kind of more bleak ending. But like yeah, so this one definitely like it ended with them on the boat and getting away, and like if you didn't see any of the epilogue, it'd been like okay, well they got to the boat. Like the rest is up to your imagination. But Zack Snyder was like, no, 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 no,
No.
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 I have to tell you, and I have to entice you with titties first, but I have to tell you what's gonna happen to these people, and they don't make it. Get fucked.
Well, actually, we don't actually know for sure. The camera kind of slowly falls, but we don't really see what happens to them. So in a way, you can still interpret that as them getting back on the boat and running away. That's Snyder's version
With-
of going,
with
oh,
no
now
fuel?
it's left up to your own devices.
No
like,
fuel.
No, you end the movie at the end, and then you leave it up to people's own devices. You don't do that and then finish it up for them, and then leave maybe a hint of something. Like, it's like you wanted to have his cake and eat it too.
It's not Inception.
Right.
Inception
So I
leaves you with questions at the end. Was it real? Was it not? No. This one is kind of like they get. Oh, by the way, they did get to that island, and zombies start attacking them. Do they make it? Like, well, you already showed they have no fucking fuel, so like, there's no running away. There's nothing they can do. They floated to the island.
right,
At the
just
very
push
end.
off the deck and then starve to death in the boat. Yeah, there's no hope. I want to read you a quote from Zack Snyder about this movie
Ooh.
because I have opinions about how this all came about. He says, I had no desire to remake the picture. Reinterpretation is what we wanted to do. Re-envision it. We put some steroids into it. And yeah, that's exactly what they did. They didn't understand the themes they were working with much. At least Snyder didn't. He references things from the other movies, but he abandons everything that made Romero movies. Romero is dead set on slow zombies. Romero effectively invented the concept of zombies, modern zombies as we know them. He invented the idea of a zombie movie. He basically created that genre. He's the king of zombies, and if he says slow zombies, I think you should stick with that. It's happened in a couple of movies where I'm okay with it, but generally speaking, I do not like fast zombies.
I'm fine with them because again, but it's one of those things where if as long as you are sticking to your own rules, you make up your own fucking rules, you stick to your own fucking rules. Like, and that's why it's like,
Yeah.
bit turn quickly, and here's the thing about what both you and Elle were both saying about like well it's after you die blah blah blah. Here's the thing. Anna explicitly says there's a line in the fucking movie where it's like, no, if it was a bite, they would have turned already. I know, I've seen it. So like, there's a timeline and it's an express thing. It's a rule that is set. So like the fact that like some people are just like, I'm gonna be bit for like forever, like fucking Michael, when he got bit on the truck. So from the time that the truck gets bit, they drive down to the dock, crash, explosion. He's still fine, and it's just like and then he shoots himself in the head.
Yeah, the dock thing too. I wanted to go back to that for just a second. I think the intention was always to crash into the dock and blow it up. I think that was the plan. It's not told to us. But I think they intended to get to that dock, crash the car into it, and then blow it up so they would not be attacked by anybody as they're trying to get on the boat and get unmoored. At least it's a floating dock, so as soon as you blow the connection to land, they can't get on it anymore. I think that was the intention. I think that's why he stays to try and prep something. I think he's prepping the bomb, which is why CJ is still stuck there when the zombies hit.
But the whole thing is that they crashed for no reason, I think. Right?
But again, what I think is that they crashed into the dock on purpose. I think that was part of the plan. We just weren't made privy to it. The plan was to crash the truck into the dock so you could block it off from the zombies, blow it up so they can't get into us as we're loading the boat up, then get on the boat and haul ass. That's the only reason that any of that would make any sense to me. It does track okay with me.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem with that, like necessarily specifically. It's just that, like, you then end it on such a bleak note. Like the bleak note could have just been, like, you can't like the suicide. You already did the student film cut to black thing. Like, you didn't need to go also like, haha, by the way, they made it to the island.
Again, he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. It's very clear he wanted to do both. And again, the theme of no hope, I think, is what makes slow zombies more viable as a storytelling element. Because to me, at least, it's always been very similar to Michael Myers and Halloween, where it's not their speed that's going to get you; it's the fact that they never stop. These are an entity or an enemy that does not sleep, it does not eat, it does not have any waste or energy needs. It just will forever wage total war on you. There is no escape. Because that is the theme of Halloween is that you don't have to worry about Michael Myers running. He's not going to. He's just going to walk slowly until you fuck yourself up, and then he's going to kill you. And I think that's what Romero was going for with the slow zombies was these are inevitable. It doesn't matter what happens. There's no hope because all you can do is outrun it. You will never outlive the zombies. You'll never escape them. They'll never stop. It's just a matter of you surviving until they get you. And I think that plays better in those themes than Fast Zombies does. That's just my personal opinion.
But it doesn't.
I've been watching zombie movies my entire life.
It doesn't change anything for this movie, though.
Not for this movie, but again, I think the reason why Romero thinks it's so important is because it's meant to be that shuffling, shambling, inevitability. It's Thanos. I am inevitable. Zombies are inevitable. You can't get away from them. You get away from one on one coast, and there's another set of them on the different coast. Like it doesn't matter where you go. There's always just going to be zombies.
But the thing with Romero was not like about the zombies though. It was about that like the people that like you have this existential threat right of the zombies, but like your fellow people were also the bigger threat, and that was a thing throughout his zombie movies.
Right. But again, I think the reason why. But I think the reason why it works is because the threat isn't like a flash in the pan threat. It's a slow boil, inevitable end. There is no beating the zombie apocalypse. It's just slowly.
But that isn't what the conflict. The zombie apocalypse itself is not really necessarily. That's just the framework.
Which one are we talking here?
Fucking all of them. Both.
Okay, what I'm saying
Night
though
of the
is
Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Land of the Dead. Like whether or not they're slow or fast, the Romero zombie movies, other than the one that was like found footage that like no one saw.
I saw it, I didn't like it.
Holy shit, Romero had lost the plot there. But anyway,
I'm not saying that's what he. I'm not saying that's what he built the plot off of. I'm saying that was the framework for what the plots were.
But you're putting this emphasis that like it's about the zombie. No, it was about what happens.
No, I'm not putting the emphasis on the zombies. Romero explicitly says zombies are slow. Like, at least he did until he passed away. But he was big on that, and he was very upset at these zombies being done fast, even though he is still a producer on them. That was against his wishes. And for some reason, it's really important to him that zombies are slow. And the reason why I think that is because they are meant to be seen as an inevitability, not as a ever-present danger that could just pop up and attack you. It's meant to be, this is always going to happen. In the original Dawn of the Dead, they're much more aware of zombies. Zombies are shuffling around the mall. They're not nearly as isolated. They know it's happening. That's why they're trying to build a plan to get to the MacGuffin and get out. Which is still kind of this too. But every time they have a plan to go somewhere, they immediately find out that place is gone. Like, I really do think the no hope angle is what Snyder's trying to say here. But I think Slow Zombies would have told that story better. Crazy as that sounds, I think it would have. Again, I don't have a ton of horror movie specifics, but Slow Zombies is something I'm really passionate about.
But again, it's one of those things where like I could give two fucks about, but like because here's Romero's quote, right? Because they asked him, "What do you think about fast zombies, the kind we see in video games and movies like 28 Days Later?" He goes, "Well, I took a big swipe at them in this film. There's a running gag in the movie that dead things don't move fast. Partially, it's a matter of taste. I remember Christopher Lee's Mummy movies where the thing was this big old lumbering thing that was just walking towards you, and you could blow it full of holes, and it would keep coming. And in the original Halloween, Michael Myers never ran. He just sort of calmly walked across the lawn or across the... Hold on. To me, that's scarier. But there's an inexorable thing coming at you, and you can't figure out how to stop it. Aside from that, I do have my rules in my head of what's logical and what's not. I don't think zombies can run. Their ankles would snap, and they haven't taken out memberships to curves."
Whoa! So we had to have that little sexism quip there at the end. Fun.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, he prefers slow things, but I think like. It's more like, yeah, that makes that terrifying in like in his mind, but like when you see how he frames like all the movies, if you see like
again, I think that's what he was thinking there, and it turns out that I'm on the money there. Like that's what he's going for, is that inevitability is what's scary to him. I mean, because otherwise the zombies could be replaced by anything. They could be animals, they could be aliens, could be whatever.
But like
I guess just the idea of like I kind of get where he's coming, where it's just like, yeah, if you can run away from them, but when you get to the other side of where you're going and they're already there, like,
but that's just to make that, again, that's to make plot device itself scary, because like, again, one of the things that he put forth, even starting from Night of the Living Dead, was that yes, the zombies themselves, scary, big threat, but the other threat is also your fellow man. Like it's the reason. It's the reason why. It's the reason why when Ken Foree leaves the thing, they're like, you did it, and then a person shoots him. He didn't die from a zombie. Yes. A person shoots him. That is the fight. The fight was surviving with a bunch of assholes, and I think that's the thing that Zack Snyder picked up on, and that's why the security guards are so fucking like over the top dickheads.
And why 2 of them have redemption arcs. The third dies because a legless zombie
gets
climbing
him!
along the pipes and then jumps down like and gets on his back and attacks him. And you're just like, okay, fine, fuck that guy. But I want to read you.
No legs.
I want to read you the headline of an article that I found while doing research on this. So this is from Horror Geek Life, which is something I don't know, but. Anyway, Landon Evanson's the byline author. Celebrating CJ, Dawn of the Dead's Tale of Redemption. People genuinely think that CJ had a redemption arc. Like, people watch this movie and take that away from this. Like, obviously that's what it's intended, but it's just not set up well. It doesn't flow.
I mean, it's again, in Zack Snyder standards, that is a redemption arc.
It's super subtle.
Like, on the Zack Snyder curve, that is a redemption arc.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, that's a character that I feel should not have had a redemption arc.
He didn't really. He just happened to be the one who was in the way when
he was proven right. Again, it's one of those things where like you make this asshole be homophobic, all this terrible shit, right? He reads one article in Cosmo and then suddenly he's doing the right thing, but like even though he's a piece of shit, he's right in the end. America always finds a way to sort its shit out.
They would have been fine.
America always sorts its shit out.
What a stupid line.
But again, his heroic sacrifice isn't really. It's not like he had an option. He was already dead. He just makes sure to go ahead and do the thing he was supposed to do anyway.
But again,
like he does not sacrifice himself. He just finishes the plan and also dies.
That's just how it's framed. And again, on the Zack Snyder curve.
Yeah,
fucking that's give him a salute and a fucking flag, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It's played like it's a heroic sacrifice. That's how it's shot. That's how the music is going. That's how you're supposed to feel about it. But it's not there. People just infer it because it's set up, but he doesn't actually pay it off. It's not there. CJ is not a good character. He's not a redeeming character.
Again, when you look at it through the Zack Snyder lens, that's 100% what that was.
Yeah,
and that's why again it's fucking like this person's not deserving of this fucking moment. Like no, like that guy should have been fucking bit somewhere else along the line, like to prove that like fuck this dude. But no, the Zack Snyder's vision is this guy went out a fucking hero. Like this guy.
Yeah. The Romero version of this would be they give him the axe to go run to the sewers and then he immediately just like axes him to death. Like that's more Romero than anything else. You don't trust people in Romero movies. You can trust people that you already knew ahead of time. But trusting anybody else, adding anybody to the party is always the doom of the party. It's what kills everybody in these movies.
Yeah, he would have turned on them to try to get a gun, and then like it would have been we lost that person and we lost this guy.
Yeah,
like but that never happened because again, Zack Snyder's like this guy's the hero, guys.
Yeah,
he's the secret hero.
Because as Kim was saying, Romero's idea was very much the zombies seem like the threat, but it's really the people that are the problem.
And that's where Zack Snyder, you can see, missed the point of where
entirely.
Like CJ should have been the villain there in that moment at the gun shop. Like it was tragic they had to kill Andy, but like that was the point where CJ could have turned. Yeah, and that would have been like the enough of a twist to where you have to they lose a member. doesn't matter who it is, they lose a member, and they have to kill him, and then it's like now they're down even more people. And then the person who does the tactical drag would have been like Ving Rhames or something, because that could have been his arc. Because remember, he was like, "Fuck y'all, I'm out of here. Fuck you
He
guys."
cared more about his brother than he did about.
And then
the
like
survivors.
then his arc could have been, "I'm here for you guys now. Like we're doing what we can." That should have been Ving Rhames' arc and not CJ's arc.
Yeah,
And
it's almost too many characters. If they consolidated like 3 or 4 of the characters down, I think it would have worked better. There's several that are almost impossible to tell the difference. The first time you see the curly headed blonde girl who's in lingerie, you almost don't realize that's not Anna. Like
true.
Elle didn't realize. She was like, "Was that Anna?" No, it's different.
There's no
The
reason.
the lead actress is not going to get slammed on screen in a in a theatrical release. This is not NC-17 era.
No,
Yeah,
she fucked in the shower at the start of the movie.
Right.
Okay.
But foggy
Yeah.
foggy mirror, not literally like completely naked over like a Starbucks counter, just back and forth. I mean, my God.
Yeah, he's just like
exorbitant.
Steve is like fucking rodeo, like
He's
rodeo.
filming it. He's got a
he has
remote in his
camera.
hand to a camera that's set up on a tripod. And he hits the button. You see it go record, and he's just sitting there doggy style. You're like, my God, like we're not even like
Again,
playing around with this.
it's so bad.
The idea is meant to be that they're indulging in all of their whims, but their whims are apparently to wear lingerie, smoke cigarettes,
Put on heels.
and put on heels. Like, at least go out and let him wear the full fucking outfit. Like, my God.
No, he one heel. You get
Right.
get one heel.
Because he's gay, so now he wants to put on a heel.
Yep. Like it's the dumbest shit. But that's what I'm saying.
It's fine. All the queers are the same. Just throw one in there and it'll work.
But that's what I'm saying in terms of like it wouldn't matter. Like I understand that it's like again, like you said, it's a matter of taste. Romero said it's a matter of taste because like even if when you go into the land of the dead, by the time you get to that third movie, right, and they're doing experimentations in the lab, and he's like, and the guy's picking up the phone trying to make sure like does he remember things? Like it's still the people that are the bad guys. Regardless of what's happening with the zombies around them, the people are the fucking bad guys in the situation. And Zack Snyder did not get that. Like, right. This movie does not understand that it isn't about the zombies being the bad guys. So, like, fast or slow doesn't matter because the theming needs to be that your danger, like, when shit collapses, the danger around you is other people. And that's why I'm saying, like, they make CJ out to be the correct one. He's like, we're not bringing any of these people in. Good call, dude. It's just a shame you're a piece of shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you were right. He was right. Like, had they not brought those people in, they'd probably be okay.
Nearly everybody in this movie is correct on their tactical assessments. The only reason things go shit or tits up is because people follow their emotions. Like, they have a plan to get the dog to Andy. It more or less works. It fails in practice, but the idea is good. And then girl gets upset about the dog and drives the truck over there, and that fucks up everything. Now we have to adjust the plan.
Nah, that's when you cut her loose. She's dead. Fuck her.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, when they make emotional decisions, that's when things go bad. She made an emotional decision to go after the dog. That led to them making a poor tactical decision, which wasn't necessarily a bad idea. Let's get the guns. But it was spurred on by her driving over there in a tizzy. And that's what blows the whole thing up. Like, that destroys the whole plan. Every time they make a decision based off any sort of emotion, the pregnant zombie lady was an emotional choice. He knows she's dead. He's not surprised when she dies. He's just hopeful that she can die but still have the kid, which is a crazy emotional thing and not smart. You should cut your losses, but you can't tell a person who's just lost everyone that. The girl who goes after the dog is emotional because she just lost her dad and presumably other people too. Like, she watched her father just be fine one minute and then an hour later be dead.
They talked about the brothers and stuff as well.
Yeah, so I mean, she's lost everybody. The poor decisions are not unsupported within the narrative. They're just really bad emotional decisions. And every time somebody makes one, it destroys all of the sound logic they've put up so far.
All right, so Fat, based purely on what we've said, what are your thoughts on the movie?
1 out of 5 stars.
I don't know, man. It seems like such a bad movie.
It's not as bad as we're deconstructing it to be, but like it's
Maybe
it's
I
very
have seen this movie and I just don't remember it.
maybe.
And I know that there are like certain things from like that I've watched and enjoyed when I was a kid that I would not
Don't
go
hold
back
up.
and rewatch
Right.
because in my mind it's like, oh, it's a good show.
That's most of the Land of the Dead series, whatever. Like Land of the Dead was really rough. It was interesting but rough.
And
I disagree about Land of the Dead. I think Land of the Dead has a lot
That's the
more.
one with Leguizamo, right?
That's what?
That's the one with Leguizamo.
No.
What if that was John Leguizamo? I thought that was Land.
but yeah,
Oh,
I don't.
maybe. I'm thinking of something else then. I'm thinking of Day of the Dead, not Land of the Dead. I'm thinking Day of the Dead.
Yeah, Land of the Dead I did not like much. It was
Land of the
kind
Dead
of
is same with Diary of the Dead, where you're just like,
Land of the Dead was basically like the plot of fucking the Super Mario Brothers movie, but in zombies.
Instead of
It's
Bowser, you just got a giant.
You're
it's
right.
actually not too far off from New Vegas.
Land of
Like,
Land of the Dead is the one with John Leguizamo. You're right. I'm thinking of
yeah,
Day of the Dead.
that's the one.
I'm
Land of the Dead is
talking.
where they've gotten like a high-rise building that they've secured, and so like if
Mhm.
you're poor, you live on the ground in like a camp, but if you're rich, you live in the high-rise, like a completely normal like pre-war
It
life.
was a societal caste,
Yeah.
class system.
And so that one's like,
Commentary.
okay, we're gonna do the social commentary, but we're gonna beat you over the fucking head with it. There's some cool stuff in there because there's like a zombie that kind of starts to gain some consciousness or sentience and some other stuff. He's got cool people in it, but like it's just off the rails.
No,
I like it.
I'm,
It's one of
I'm,
those that I
I'm
like to
thinking
watch.
Day of the Dead. I'm thinking Day of the Dead when I was talking about
Day of the Dead was good.
like in terms of it's not the zombies that are the fucking bad guys. It's the people, and like people fucking up is what leads the zombies to have their opening. Like that's kind of the whole thing. But yeah, in terms of like Zack Snyder trying to like redo this one, I just don't think he gets it.
Why
He
even
doesn't
call
get
it a
it.
redo? He didn't redo it. Like he did a whole other thing that was just
a-
kind of
It was
loosely
like a
based off the concept.
reimagining,
Right.
or
Right.
yeah,
It's not.
Well, no, because again, there isn't a lot to except for Day of the Dead. That one has a lot more to it. Like Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, like it's more about setting, and then like the overall threat. So like the fact that they're in a mall and then the zombie threat is the thing is really all you need, and then everything else inserted is still the same movie essentially because of that. Because there isn't a lot of meat in terms there's a lot of plot, right? It's basically we're at a mall, survive. Everything else is just like is what you put on top of that.
Yeah. But I mean, Night of the Living Dead was kind of the same way. It's effectively a bottle movie. It's one location. It's
Exactly.
two locations technically, but like it's one.
But that's
And there's
exactly what
not
I
much
mean.
to it.
That's exactly what I mean.
But I think that was part of the limitation of the day. Like it was shot in black and white. It was a very low budget indie film, so they didn't have a lot of money to work with. So they had to work with like really low budget constraints, which made for a really compelling movie. The black and white is actually compelling for the setting. The fact that they had to use slow, shambling zombies that didn't look like anything but a person really was,
Helpful.
good for the movie. It worked. Because half the movie is just you sitting around watching these survivors go, "What the fuck do we do?"
Right,
And like you're
that's what I
scared
mean
too. You don't know.
and that's what I mean by like it wouldn't matter if these fuckers could run. Like the theme is about like what happens in this shelter, in the house, in the mall, and then that's why I'm saying Day of the Dead has this is the only one that like if you had to remake it, you have to go a little bit more into it because there is like the military industrial complex part of it and yada yada yada.
Right.
But like
But
Dawn of the Dead, like you take the mall setting and the zombies, and then you just kind of fill it with whatever the fuck you want, and that's basically a Dawn of the Dead movie.
right.
Like you can totally do things different. Now again, Elle just asked, "Do you think we're gonna get a new crop of zombie movies out of the coronavirus?" No. We're gonna get not zombie movies, but pandemic movies.
yeah.
They're not the same thing.
I do think you'll definitely see the pandemic start to crop into other stuff too. You'll see.
But you'll see
We've already seen that happen, but you might see a zombie movie that makes use of the pandemic, not because of zombies, but because of pandemic. You'll probably see rom-coms that are developed out of wacky scenarios from the pandemic.
like, how do you
we can-
socially distance dating?
We can only date through Zoom. Oh, it's a movie entirely shot through Zoom. That's a real thing that happened.
Well, I mean, the friended and unfriended or whatever the fuck. Like,
But that, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we are going to start to see things that pop up that will certainly allude to pandemics more. I mean, we've already had the pandemic movie with Contagion. That pretty much is the COVID movie. We're just lucky that it's
where
not
we
really.
seem super fucking heroic and we do the right thing.
Yeah, I think actually we might because of this, just because there's definitely a connection between the people who get bit and don't tell you and people who don't wear masks when they go outside right now. Like, those are the same people. Uh, and I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know how you do that in a movie. I'm not a filmmaker.
Well,
But I think,
all it has to be then, all it has to be is an I Am Legend prequel, where
ooh,
where
ooh.
the reason why it spread so fast.
Starring Jaden.
No,
Yes.
the reason why
Yes.
it spread so fast was they were kind of like, you can't tell me what to do, and they're like, guys, people are changing, and they're like, my rights.
No. I mean, that really, I think we'll
My
see something like
medical exemption.
Zombieland. I think we'll see something like Zombieland touch on that. Not necessarily that property, but something like that where it's a comedy element. I think
I don't even want to think about what the pandemic is going to bring, because there's already, like, there's a flood of scripts already hitting, like, all that shit, and it's like, it's going to be absolutely awful.
Yep.
I can't wait to see, like, a lot of directed videos starring some random actor doing things. But yeah, thoughts?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm now kind of glad I didn't watch the movie.
Here's what you should do instead. If you want to get the same kind of premise, but watch.
I mean,
like,
I
other
probably
stuff,
will if I can find a copy of it.
I think it's definitely worth watching the original '70s Dawn of the Dead. It's a much better
I
film.
think I need to go back
thematically.
and watch those.
I also think it's worth watching Shaun of the Dead.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead actually came out like the same week in some places as Dawn of the Dead 2004. But it's obviously referencing the '70s Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
But it's a movie in which it's the only movie I've ever seen where they've acknowledged that zombies are a thing, and this is completely fucking ridiculous to call that this. Like, at one point, Simon and Nick Foster are in the house. They just dealt with Pete Serafinowicz. And Nick Frost is like, there's fucking zombies out there. And Simon Pegg's like, don't use the Z word. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, it's the only time I've ever seen a movie be actually genre aware like that.
So
I really love that.
The Dawn of the Dead 2004 came out March 19th, and then Shaun of the Dead came out in September.
Yeah, so that was American releases, but I want to say like Europe, somewhere they had to move Shaun of the Dead back because they were supposed to come out the same week. Like, the Dawn of the Dead remake and the spoof titled movie.
Now that I kind of
cannot.
I think I remember
debut
watching
the same
Shaun of the
week.
Dead because I was like, oh, I think I'd rather watch this one because it looks silly.
I watched Shaun of the Dead having no knowledge of what it was or really much of Edgar Wright at all at that point, and was just thoroughly enthralled. Like that became my love of Edgar Wright.
Okay, I found what you're talking about. March 19th, 2004 was Dawn of the Dead, and then April 9th was in the UK. So not even a month.
I think they actually did move it back because they were slated
within a couple of weeks.
time.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great.
I definitely think
now that you've watched this bad movie, come watch our movie.
Right. Well, I mean, it's good for them to come out right after. Like, people will assume that you're spoofing that movie, even though it's not. It's not spoofing the movie necessarily at all. It's
parody.
It's not even a parody. It's
not
an honest to
really
God,
played
honest to goodness played straight.
But it's with people who are aware what zombies are, so they make different decisions than we would. Like, they know that zombies are zombies, so at one point they're like, well, if we just fucking act like zombies, they won't know that we're real, so they do all that.
I think there's a difference, though. There's a difference between, like, because I don't know what I would call it, because it's not necessarily a parody. It's where
it's a comedy. It's a horror comedy.
It's where it's hard to distinguish because I think of Mel Brooks. Spaceballs is not necessarily a parody.
Sci-fi.
It's because it's, as much as it references a lot of things from Star Wars, obviously, like, it plays a very straight narrative of its sci-fi setting. Blazing Saddles, very straightforward narrative of its Western setting. It's not necessarily being like, guys, you've seen those Westerns, like no. It's not necessarily. It has its own thing going.
Okay, but Spaceballs did have a part where they cut to watching the movie in the VHS case. Like, there's definitely some
There's meta.
moments
There's meta
in those that are parodic.
Yeah,
But I see what you're saying. Like, Shaun of the Dead is not making fun of the genre of
Right.
zombies. It is lovingly telling a zombie movie
and knowing it
from
knowing
people
it.
who love zombie movies. These
Yeah,
are people
yeah.
who grew up loving Night of the Living Dead. That's why this movie works, because it's not taking the piss out of zombie movies, not at their expense. It's
Right.
just lovingly.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm just like, oh, wow. Zack Snyder missed the point.
Maybe we should do.
Like Zack Snyder.
2004 was wild.
2004 was a wild year.
Maybe we should do a Night of the Living Dead watch, since it's it's not copyrighted anymore. We could actually do like a full-on riff tracks of it.
Oh shit. Well, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so that's 2004's Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Holy shit, titty.
Titties and loud musical montage.
And I just don't
And
understand.
Down with the Sickness.
Down with the Sickness twice.
Did not have Hallelujah in this one. Oddly enough, this was his theatrical directorial debut. So he didn't have the clout to sneak Hallelujah in there somewhere. He'd only done commercials before then.
Give it time, and that's when our beloved Snyderverse and Hallelujah become very prominent.
Don't you think it's interesting that the only thing people hired Zack Snyder to direct before 2004 were things with no real story and only like a few seconds to tell a visual story?
It's like they knew that he had a visual eye, and they're like, give him
Like
a
they
movie.
knew what his skill set was and what the limitations were. Yeah. Good stuff, Zach. Love you. I really don't think Zack Snyder is a bad person by any stretch. He just doesn't seem to understand themes the way I do, which is really just my personal opinion on things. But I don't know. He doesn't seem like a complete dick. He's no Joss Whedon.
But the next movie, I think we're gonna decide. I think it's gonna be Fott's pick. This was your pick, Nick.
That was
so
my pick,
in 2 weeks, we'll figure something out what we're gonna watch.
Any leanings, Font? Any idea?
Any movie?
Yeah,
man.
We're gonna watch a movie, preferably something that maybe we haven't seen. Like, again, start thinking about it. We'll figure this out.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
And next week's gonna be just another regular podcast. This has been an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I had fun. This was good.
I definitely enjoy it. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. You can listen to this on audio through Spotify and everything else. Do all the things if you want to. With me, as always, is Fought. The man of this week was the one who was the odd man out. We have Mort, lovingly disagreeing with some things, but we're it's okay. And of course, I'm Kittyman, and this has been just another a new kind of departure for the OK Roundtable. But I think a good one that we can do to break things up. It's not just
Yeah, tell us what you think. Comments.
Is there a movie?
All that
Yeah, is
stuff.
there a movie you'd want us to fucking
Yeah.
look at? Like,
What do we need to analyze? Clearly, we can just deconstruct some shit.
I don't know. I'm thinking about making you just watch an incredibly bad movie.
Okay. Whatever.
I do that for fun.
Like we're in. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.